Okay, that is great. And you guys are already chatting with each other. This is good. It's a community. It's a community. If remember that, what, you're not going to finish that sentence? Ah, oh, finish that song. I see. No, I'm not. And let me find Tanana Reeve and co-host her.
Co-host me, baby.
Great. Oh, right, right. Shot from gun. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-da-dum, dum, 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 dum,
Dinner and
dum,
a
dum.
show.
That's perfect. I feel better now. Thank you, Steve.
You feel okay? That's great. And now you know why I'm a writer and not a singer, uh, or a musician. All right, so it is 12 o'clock. It's time for us to get started. Welcome to Firedance, where every week I talk about a particular path that is designed to take you closer and closer to the core of who it is that you are, using objective measurements in the arena of your physical energy and wellness, your relationships, and your career, to guide the things that can't be put into words. That those three things create a space, and within the center of that, that's where you're sitting. Sometimes invisible. Sometimes you can glimpse that true self out of the corner of your eye. But my attitude is, I'm going to focus on the way the grass bends. If the grass is bending, I know the wind is blowing. I can't see the wind, but I can see the grass blow. So the way we are performing in those three arenas is indicative of the degree to which we are engaging with our lives. And when we are unable to do things that, let's say, are not dependent upon money, then we can no longer blame the outside world. The question of how do we organize ourselves to do the best we can given the resources we have, with full acknowledgement that oppression and abuse and prejudice and things like that reduce the baseline. They reduce what the average member of that group will be able to achieve, but it does not necessarily influence what an individual can achieve. So the more you care about uplifting whatever group you're in, whether it's defined by gender or sexual orientation or race or anything else, the more important it is for you as an individual to shine, to stand up, to achieve, and but to simultaneously be compassionate to those who have been hurt by colonization or oppression or abuse or time in life, and to be able to have compassion for them, and to be able to show them that it is possible for you to stand up and live a life where you escape suffering, embrace joy, and be of service. So if you want to help your group, that's what you do. If you escape suffering, you can help other people show how to learn how to escape suffering. If you learn to embrace joy, you can show other people how to embrace joy. And if you do that, if you escape suffering and embrace joy, then showing people the path that you've walked to do it is definitely being of service. So this is the path. Plus, if you want to make money, considering that everybody's trying to get away from suffering and into joy, anything you have done in your own life to decrease your suffering or increase your joy is something that becomes a path that people will pay for, quite frankly. I mean, that's just the truth of it. Because everybody's looking for a way out. So you have to exemplify it. But then if you exemplify it and with integrity, you can monetize it. So, that's just the truth too. Before I go on, I would like very much to introduce my beautiful co-conspirator, the lovely and talented Tanana Reeve Dew. You're muted,
No, I'm
sweetheart.
not on. Okay, now I'm on.
There you
Hello,
go.
everybody. Well, oh Lord, let me straighten myself up here. If you got my newsletter today, you heard that we're having great luck. Well, it's not luck because we have a great community in the horror community. And putting together my campaign event for Kamala Harris called Scare Up the Vote. If you're not already signed up and you like horror, you're not going to want to miss it. It's scareupthevote.com. but mostly just that inspirational message about community, which is so fun. I mean, like people I've known casually for years, but have never actually done anything with, like in terms of a project, we have come together and you're appreciating each other's talents and intelligence. And, let me do this part of the edit. He'll do this part of the edit on the video. It's like just so much fun. And it's great to be a part of a community. It's also great to be a part of this community. Maybe I'll need to do a project together of some kind, because
Yeah,
it really does deepen the relationships.
in the group chat, I know that you guys are already talking and sharing and helping, brainstorming while I talk or Tananarive talks. You guys talk amongst yourselves. If you have issues that have to do with your career, your relationships, or your physical health, put it out there in chat. Ask us. Let's workshop this stuff together. In talking a look at, looking at where I am right now, if I was to look at my health in general, my fitness is great. My health is not as good as it could be because I twisted something in my hip and I didn't really notice. I thought it would work itself out quickly, so I was letting myself walk a little splay-footed, which then accelerated the misalignment of my hip and knees. So now I've got some stuff that I have to do. I have to do yoga multiple times a day, like a sun salutation, just to loosen things up. And that's just one of the costs and one of the things that happens when you take too many trips around the sun. Things get misaligned. So I have to take care of that. Relationship wise, this is great. And Tananarive and I constantly discuss the fact that the love feast and our blessing dance are absolute miracles in our lives, and we talk about those things from time to time, and we're willing to go back and talk those again. But the love feast is basically a 90-day commitment to put the other person first, and it is, if putting the other person first and caring about their happiness more than your own does not open their hearts, then in 90 days you found out that relationship ain't gonna work. It's cheap at the price, but if there is anything there, 90 days of just giving everything you have to the other person will transform that relationship. And Tananarive and I have been doing this now for a year, a little bit more than a year, and it's been stupendous for us. And then every day, 5, 6 days a week, we do our blessing dance where we breathe together and look in each other's eyes and chant together. And it's just, oh God, it's just wonderful. I was talking about how my task when I do this with her is to fall into her eyes when we're breathing together and to see the world from the way she sees it and to see it the way, see me the way she does. And I want to make sure that when she sees me, what she's seeing is a being that loves her completely, that honors her completely. That is not always easy for me. It just isn't. And it's something I want to constantly cleanse the lens of my perception and make sure that I'm opening my heart and not letting my ego get in the way of our love. Career wise, well, the biggest announcement is that next week the Star Wars book is coming out. There is one of them, and there's actually an alternative cover that's going to be shown. They're going to be sold at the New York Comic Con, and I've got both of them. Maybe we'll do some sort of a contest at some point and give away a copy of the alternative cover to somebody. We'll look at that. I think that could be a lot of fun. But fear is a major factor in life. It stops us from growing and changing and accomplishing the things that we need to accomplish and that we deserve to accomplish. We can be afraid of the negative, what happens if we fail. We can also be afraid of the positive. If we succeed, we often are moving into unknown territory. And how many of you, if you have ever changed the status in your life for the better and found some of your old friends no longer relating to you the way they used to, type a 1 in chat. Let's see who's had that experience, that changing even for the positive can have a negative consequence. Type in a 1 if you have experienced that. Yeah, yeah. It's real. If you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with, I hope that seen through that framework, you feel like your life is heading in the right direction. If not, you may need to prune a little bit, and ask yourself, why are you with them? Now, if they're family, old friends, you can kind of grandfather certain people in. They don't have to be going with you in the right direction. You can simply love them. But if they are distracting you from being who you need to be, that's a problem. So, writing the Star Wars book, um, there were three things that I wanted to do, three different circles. I wanted to write a good Star Wars book, which has a very specific flavor, very specific image systems. I wanted to write a good science fiction book because that's who I am. I mean, Star Wars is science fantasy. It's really, dragons and wizards using spaceship image systems. It's not about the technology. It's not about the physics. They told you that the instant the Star Destroyer goes over the screen and the theater shakes with sound. They're telling you this ain't about physics. Okay. And then the third thing is I wanted to write a good Steve Barnes novel. That there is a particular, art is self-expression. Successful art is self-expression channeled through sufficient craft to communicate the emotion clearly to the intended audience. And a successful artistic career uh, asks you to do that in such a way that people will reward you with money. I mean, it's some money comes in there. So if I was a billionaire and I was writing, I would still be nervous about the release of a new book. It's not about how much money I get. Money is very useful, but mostly useful for escaping suffering, just escaping pain. It doesn't really connect that much to giving me joy. I get more joy from a good hug, from laughing, playing golf, virtual golf with my daughter and my wife, from spending time in the flow state of writing. But I remember I care about the fans, that I'm a little cog in a big machine called Star Wars in terms of this, which is part of the Disney empire, the Mouse House, and I have a task to do, and I have to find a way to do it with integrity. Well, that means that as I wait for the book to come out, I get nervous. Did I do it? Did I communicate? Do people understand what it is I'm trying to do? And much more important than understanding, did they dig it? Did they enjoy it? When they put the book down, did they feel, wow, what a great story? That's what I want them to feel like. Wow, what a great story. In talking to, in being interviewed on numerous podcasts and reading reviews from people who are not necessarily professional reviewers, but are fans. See, there are tons of Star Wars fan sites. I was able to look at what was going on and ask, did they understand what it was I was trying to do? Did they appreciate what I was trying to do? Um, Sometimes, if they get what you're trying to do but don't appreciate it, there's nothing wrong with what you did. That was simply the wrong audience. As long as you can find a tribe of at least 1,000 people who dig what it is that you're doing, you can make a living. Well, after looking at about 10 different reviews, my conclusion at this point is, yeah, there are people understanding what it was I was up to, but more important, they were digging it. There were several people who were just absolutely, thrilled with it. I found an hour long audio podcast, and these people were just drooling over the book, and it was like, wow, that's great. I'm not going to get a lot of those. Um, I care. I don't let myself get too happy when I see a positive review, or too sad if I see a negative one. I have not yet seen a negative one. I've seen some negative speculations. People say, well, I didn't like his last Star Wars book, The Cestus Deception, so I don't know if I'm going to read this. There are people who said that, and that's okay. you can't please everybody. But if I can please myself and I can please the editor and I can please the majority of fans, then I've done a good thing. There was a lot of things I was trying to do in the book. And for those of you who are writers, as you read it, you can ask me questions here about how did you think about this? How did you set this up? Because there was a lot of craft and a lot of thought that went into how I put that book together. Now that I know that it has been basically accepted, I can assume that the construction has been hidden by the surface. That you basically, it was what Jerry Pournelle used to talk about, how a bald and unconvincing narrative that the puppet strings to get the emotions in place have to be hidden by the surface, which is just, that's all that people are seeing. When you walk into a building, you see the landscaping and you see the decorations. You don't necessarily see the foundations, and the beams in the walls. There are aspects of writing that are the foundation and the beams and the walls, but then you have to be sure that the poetics flow so forth, so that people don't stop and think, huh? Can that be? As soon as they thought that, you pop them out of the narrative, and you can justify what you wrote there, but you don't want to do that. What you really want is for them to just have an experience. So at this point, I'm feeling more relaxed. I'm going to New York Comic Con next week. I've told people, be sure you're on the mailing list, because that way we get to tell you when we're doing this on Friday and when we're doing this on Saturday. Next week we'll have to do this on Saturday. They've got me on a couple of Star Wars panels at this time, and like I said, big machine, I can't control that. But I did tell them to clear my schedule on Saturday at this time, so I'll be able to be there. So before I go into any further, just having given you the kind of overview of what life is, everybody unmute yourselves and say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello,
Everybody
everybody.
else say
Hello,
hi.
everybody.
High five the people on
Hello,
this side. Get your
everyone.
energy up. Get your energy up. That's the first thing. Yeah, absolutely. The first thing you do before you start any project is be sure that your energy is in the right place. Your energy is in the right place. So there's the big energy that you get from exercising and boosting literally the metabolic engines inside your cells, and then there is subtle energy, which is to be more and more sensitive to the natural life flow that you have within you. Disciplines like qigong are all about that, and various forms of energetic meditation and energy healing are about that. They're not about sprinting and weightlifting. They're about getting very quiet. So one of the things that I want to do is to play with that a little bit today. We've given you one exercise. We've given you multiple exercises, but let's go back and visit one of them. Let's see let's see what the name of it is. The rub and shake is one term for it. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to rub your hands together like this. Come on, everybody do that until you can feel the heat in your palms. Okay, good. Okay, and then you shake your hands out. Now relax and bring your palms close enough to each other that you can feel the heat radiating from your palms. Okay, the right hand feels the heat coming from the left feels it coming from the right, and whether this is something that is a physical phenomenon or a psychological one does not matter at all. And what you try to do is to feel that sort of tingly warmth and move your hands slowly further apart. What you're doing is called building a chi ball. And it's feeling the warmth between your hands, and see how far apart can your hands get and still feel that warmth. And this is something that we do in Tai Chi, and that feels good. And let's just stay with that for about 30 seconds. Go as far as you can get your hands apart while still feeling the warmth. If you can't feel the warmth, try rubbing your hands together again. And it's going to be a matter of relaxation. Breathe deeply and slowly and relax. Relax. All right, good. Now visualize taking that ball of light, that ball of warm air, and rubbing it into your body, your chest, shoulders, maybe over your face. Just taking that warmth, that light, and giving it back to yourself. And finally, hands over your heart. Feel that light flowing into your heart. And perhaps that little child that you were is sitting right in your heart. And you're taking that light and sending it in deep to the you that you used to be, are, and always will be, that youngest part of you, from which flows all of your creativity and life energy and sensuality, that sense of engagement with the world, all of your hope. And some of you may need to go to a very young self, or even imagine yourself in the womb. Some of you might need to go with a sense of a previous life, if life has been damaging enough. But you find something beautiful and precious that belongs to you, and only to you. And your commitment is to protect it with all your heart and all your strength. You protect that child. Do that, and that child will give you all the love and all the energy you need. Okay, then taking all the time that you need, start wiggling your fingers, come out of that state, and come back to us. That's great. Before we go on, would anyone like to say something about what they experienced doing that? What was your experience like? I would like to hear from you, because learning to connect and develop those subtle energies is as important as learning to create the larger physical energy, or learning how to direct that energy with your heart and your mind. These things are all connected. So anybody have an experience of what that just felt like that you'd like to share? Volunteer, or you will be voluntold.
I
Okay,
can't raise.
Alexander Adams.
Thanks. I was trying to figure out how to raise my hand. I couldn't remember. Um, what I ended up with was I had to push a little farther. I got to where I got to the inside, and I actually was afraid of it. It actually started to choke me up, and I'm like, no, no, there's nothing. Why are you being afraid of yourself? And I had to talk myself a little past that, and then I got into a place where it was quiet, and like you say, it was that very far away, youthful quality that is not afraid, that is
Yes,
curious, that is willing to just go out and find things and discover things. So, but I thought it was interesting that a lot of times I don't get a chance to get past that. I've done this before, but I usually get choked right at that place. And this time I was able to push past it.
that's fantastic. And I would like you to experiment with that and other similar techniques moving forward. You may want to make contact with a part of you that is non-dualistic. Okay, we won't go into that more, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
The stem cell version of yourself that could be differentiated into many different existences.
Yeah.
Uh, Nurture that spirit. That's getting pretty close to your soul there. I mean, that's a wonderful place. The part of you that before birth, before differentiation of any kind, was capable of anything,
Yeah.
just capable of anything. Embrace that, Alexander. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. As we go forward, if any of you have anything that you wanted to talk about that, please just raise your hands. One of the things that I like to do, we were talking about the fact that you are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with. And if you find that the associations you have are not taking you in the right direction, then one of the things you do is you be sure to associate with the greatest minds and hearts that have ever lived. In other words, you read the words of the men and women who have walked this life with courage and authority and power. They have left trails. And one of the things that I like to do is to remind people that at the same time that they spend doom scrolling on the internet, they could spend joy scrolling. You could go over, every day, I mean, literally every day, I will go to YouTube. And one of the first things I do, I try very hard not to. Uh, uh, this thing is. I'm sorry, my phone there is. Oh, I see what I can do. Okay, my phone was ringing and coming into my headphones. Um, that what I do, I try before I listen to anything negative or look at the news or anything else, hopefully before I even look at my email, I will go to YouTube and I will find something positive. I have several different people whose words about life I enjoy, and I like to spend the first hour of my day listening to something positive. And I remember that one of the very first of the positive thinking gurus, so to speak, that I listened to is a guy named Jim Rohn, who was a great speaker on this subject. And I came across a video where he was talking about the four things you should never, ever sacrifice in exchange for a relationship or an action externally. They are your dreams, your integrity, your health, and your time. Now, this is great. I mean, we could go into each of these. You could probably, understand. We could spend, an entire week on each of these things and dive deep into them. But your dreams, if the first step in Think and Grow Rich, let me kind of change my background there because I like to do that. Boom, 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 boom. Where is it? There we go. If the first step is desire, you're talking about your dreams. What do you want? Whatever it is that you want to create in life. Harlan Ellison made the comment that success is to bring into existence in adult terms your childhood dreams. There is a way, if you wanted to be an astronaut, but you can't be an astronaut, but you end up working in a planetarium, plenty of people do that. If you wanted to be a bird, you can't be a bird, but what you can do is be a pilot. There are ways to take the things that make your heart happy and actually accomplish them in the material world. Whatever you dreamed of as a child, if I had a chance to attend a workshop, a virtual workshop taught by my friend Joseph McClendon, and I met him many years ago when I paid a great deal of money to spend 2 days with him and have him coach me. And one of the things he discovered was, or helped me to discover within myself, was that whenever I think of my daughter, Nikki, I get a burst of energy. I cannot think of my daughter without smiling and my heart opens and suddenly I want to be the best man I can be. Now the same thing is true about Tananarive and my son Jason. But we're talking about what he picked up about me 20, 21 years ago. Your ability to understand what gets you going. If there are three things, if you have the what you want to accomplish, most people go from the what to the how. They don't go to the why. If you have enough clarity in the what you want and a path to accomplishing it, something that is actually doable, then the next thing you want to know is why do you want it? If you can say to yourself, because it was my childhood dream, you will almost always, if you get anything other than a sense of pleasure from that, then you know that you've got some damage you have to go in and deal with. Because when you think about your childhood dreams, you should be in integrity of your childhood childhood dreams. You should be doing the best you can to bring these things into existence. You should be trying to touch that space every day, just a little bit. Your dreams empower you. If you understand, if you've ever had people who mean well, but try to talk you out of respecting your own dreams, please put a one into chat if you've had that experience. Yeah, yeah, we've all had that. We've all had that. And they often mean well, but they're afraid for us. If they're not afraid for us, they're afraid for themselves. They're afraid that they're not doing all that they can do to bring their dreams into existence. And so they see the world as a place that you can't do it. And if you go after your dreams, you make them feel guilty about not going after theirs. So, ugh. The second thing is your integrity. Now, in the magic formula, your dreams would be intention, okay? Your integrity would be the C, would be the core, would be the sense that what you are doing is in alignment with who you really are, with the deepest aspect of who you are. And that's another thing, that everything you do should be some way of answering the question, who am I? And what is true? Right now at this moment, I'm a person who's trying very hard to give you something of value from my own experience and my own life. I'm trying to be as honest as possible, as direct as possible, and use every skill I have to communicate, even though we're not in the same room together. The raising of energy and getting you to be sensitive to very slight energies is an attempt to help us all connect energetically. Okay, how much is my energy filtered by coming through a Zoom? Maybe 99%. But if you can get sensitive enough, we can get on that same wavelength. Who are you? If art is self-expression, then continual interrogation of the question, who am I, is critical, because the only thing you have, let's say in your writing, is your sense of what human beings are, including yourself, and the sense of what the world is, including the publishing industry. Who are you? The more the more clarity you have about who you are, the less likely you are to be ripped out of yourself, off of your path, because somebody waves a check at you. You must never, ever, ever sell your integrity. To be honest, you can rent it. I rent my energy all the time, but I don't sell myself. And the thing that I'm doing has to align with my dreams. I will do this thing because it helps support my dream. I will do this thing because I can see how this is an honest expression of who I am. The Star Wars novel, for instance. Am I taking care of my family? Yeah. The money was good enough. There were enough zeros on the check. Am I expressing myself? Do I genuinely enjoy Star Wars? Yeah, I do. I have a great time with Star Wars. So can I do something that is both in alignment with what they need, what my family needs, and what I need? Yes. All right, I'll do it. The third thing to never sacrifice is your health. Your health. You have to respect your health. Getting enough sleep, eating the right food, getting the right exercise, being able to deal with the stress in your life so that it doesn't become strain. We all have to take stress in order to accomplish the things that we want. But when you're taking so much that it actually breaks you down, that's for wartime. That's for the time that, near starvation, the only way I have to support my family is to go down into the coal mines. It'll break my body down, but it is in alignment with my dream, which is of having a healthy family. And this is who I am. I'm a warrior for my family. So I will go down and I will risk pneumonia ultramicroscopic silicopiconiosis, also known as black lung disease, because it's in alignment with my values. I have to do something that is not healthy for me. But needless to say, you get out of that situation as fast as possible. And the beautiful thing about this path that we're on is it suggests that the majority of bad situations that you are in, if you focus on improving by 1% a week, you can get out of that situation in a year. In a year, you can make a lot of changes if you're making incremental change. So one great goal if you don't know what goals to have, is to simply spend the next year becoming the healthiest you can possibly be, doubling your energy and aliveness, your muscle tone. What can you do to aim at being the healthiest and fittest you have ever been, modified by, your age and your place in life? I understand that. To be more connected with your body than you've ever been. You can aim at that at any age. I could be on my deathbed and I still be working on connecting my breath and my body right down to that last breath. And the fourth thing is your time. Never sacrifice your time. Don't spend your time or waste your time. Invest your time. I might have to go to work for 40, 50 hours a week, but I'm doing it because the check allows me to keep a roof over my family's head. And my dream is to have a healthy family, right? Or to support myself while I'm going to school. Because a year or two from now, I'm going to be out of this job and I'm going to be doing something that is more in alignment with what it is that I am. In a very real way, life is a chess game and your opponent is time. And if you hesitate too long, your opponent will simply take a pawn off the board. Better to move that pawn than to simply have them reach over and take it. These four things are what Jim Rohn said you should never sacrifice for anyone or anything. Once again, your dreams, your integrity, your health, and your time. And now what I'd like to do is to open this to people, especially, you guys out there that are writers. This is perfect, especially as long as Tananarive is still on the call. You have two professional writers who are pretty decently thought of and have actually made our living doing this for most of our lives. So you can ask how these principles can help you in your career and in developing the quality of your work. But if you would like to have a conversation about anything else that touches what we have been discussing, please, this is your chance. I can't remember all of your concerns, but what I can do is if you will tell me how you would like me to explain. If there's comments, questions. Angelique Davis, I'm so glad you put your hand up. I was just about to call on you. You were, that's the truth. You were one of the people I was thinking, if nobody raised their hands, I'm calling on Angelique. That's great. We're on the same wavelength. What can I do for you, sweetheart? And how are you today? You look great.
Oh, good. Great. I'm in line waiting for my child, but I love tuning in as much as I can. I'm
Okay, your
sorry,
sound
I
went
muted
out.
myself.
It's
Okay, you can
okay.
hear me now.
Yes, I can.
So I'm in the process for the first time. So I've published a lot with academic writing. I've shared that before, and just got some queries from agents for a book that we're writing for on racial gaslighting, which I published about in academic circles. And I've been getting inquiries from agents, and I'm just curious. It's my first time going through this process. Before, it's always been like the peer-reviewed process. Any thoughts you have as far as navigating that? And then I've been,
Yeah,
thinking
I
about
do. If
now.
it, Absolutely, I do. First of all, you want to feel simpatico with your agent. You want to feel that your agent has guided others to the promised land. Have they published and helped other authors that are doing similar things to you? Do you know anyone who's ever interacted with this agent and therefore can tell you something about it? Whether or not they have been successful with other books, you get to determine your definition of success. You get to look at that, and what you're
Yeah.
looking for is someone you can trust, someone who knows the business and can advocate for you behind the curtain, and also can take a look at the book you're writing and tell you, have you educed, have you brought forth from yourself the emotions and intellect and energy that allow you will allow you to look at the book and say, I did the job. This is the best that I could do. But you also want them to help you find an editor who is simpatico to what you're doing and can guide you to tweaking that book so that it will reach the audience that you want. Okay? The editor is a professional, the agent is a professional friend. They're going to have to help you negotiate the contract. You want them to get you the most money, but you want them to get you a contract that builds your career long term. You don't want to get so much money and then if it doesn't earn out, people see you as poison. That happens. So
Okay.
it's can they help you get into position to build the career that you want? What do you
Okay.
want? Critically clear. I want to publish a book every 2 years until I have $100,000 a year in passive income coming from the books that are out there. Whatever it is that is your dream, speak it. And if other
Got it.
writers have achieved it, you know it's possible. You may not get it, but at least you're in a game that is real. Okay? So
Right.
does that help?
Okay. It
Yeah,
does. Does.
I've been with the
It's
same
such a
agency.
new process. Yeah.
I've been with the same agency virtually my entire career. And it might be time for me to reconsider that for multiple reasons.
Okay.
But my agents have been friends and they have been true to me. Even if I don't feel that it's been an optimal situation, it's always been an honest one. And that is a precious thing to me. So as you make these decisions and you look into the situation, come back and talk to us more about this and we'll help you sort through it, okay? But you get clear what it is that you want and you be
Okay.
able to communicate that to your agent, the potential agent, say, this is what it is that I want to build in my career. Can you help me with this?
Okay. Thank you. That's so helpful.
Great.
I'm
Fantastic.
sorry if my internet's
It's okay.
wonky,
It's
but
okay.
that's great. Thank you so much.
Let me, great.
I'll be
Uh,
listening.
and Tanana
Okay.
Reeve, are you there, sweetheart? You there, T? Okay, oh, she
I
is
am
there.
here. I am here.
Okay, do you have any thoughts about finding an agent?
It's difficult. I hear stories about people who send out dozens and dozens of queries. My big hack is to cut through queries that won't speak to an agent, and knowing like which agents are most on your wavelength would be to check the acknowledgments pages of books or projects that are similar to yours, either in scope or subject matter or tone, where because very often writers do thank their agents in their acknowledgments, and that's just sort of a hack to find people who would maybe be on your wavelength, because the agents don't reject us because our writing isn't good or even great. Agents reject us because they don't know how to sell it. So someone who's already demonstrated that they know how to sell something similar is a good place to start.
That's great.
Okay.
It's great. Thank you
Great.
very, very much.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, comments, questions, requests about anything about this path, anything that we've been talking about. And Amelia, I'm not sure I have seen you before, and I would like very much to. Where did Amelia go?
I'm here. I think.
Oh, great, there you are.
I think I
Okay,
still exist.
spotlight for everyone.
Yes.
So, how are you today, dear?
I'm actually doing well. Things have been, I was here a couple of months ago,
Okay.
but life happened, and
Oh, it
so
always does. We're glad to see you back, and we'll be glad to see you anytime you can make it.
thank you. Thank
What
you.
can we do for you today?
It's interesting that you're talking about agents because probably, and it's been 4 or 5 years ago, I had made the decision to do self-publishing, and I
Hmm.
had signed a contract, and they were one of those
Wait a minute.
firms.
Signed a contract, self-publishing. The only contract is with yourself.
Wait, it was with, let me remember the name of um,
It was with a
so
company that,
Balboa Press.
okay. So you paid them to publish your book?
Right, and I'm still trying to finish the book. And
Okay.
so I don't get any of this help that you're talking about. So that's, what do I
Right.
do? Because
What do you do?
yeah,
Look, what there are presses out there. Self-publishing means from, is that you write the book, you edit the book, you find a publishing company, you find a printer to print the book, you handle marketing for the book, you handle sales for the book. In other words, that's self-publishing. You're actually a publishing house. There are companies that are generally referred to as vanity presses.
Mhm.
And although I'm sure some of them are honest, many of them prey upon writers who want to get published but don't have the confidence to go through traditional means, nor do they feel like they want to be really self-published and handle all of that stuff themselves. If you start getting the feeling that these people made promises to you that they're not keeping, you paid them. You don't have any obligations to deliver something to people who are supposed to be your employees. Okay. Um, if you've taken money from them, now you have a contract you have to respect. So if you haven't finished the book, let's just focus on what you need to do to finish the book. And then once you finish the book, you can talk to us about, well, what do I do with it? Maybe you work with them, but remember, in all likelihood, the best you're likely to get from them is they will print copies. They're not
Okay.
likely to really help you with distribution, sales, marketing. So we, our expertise is in traditional publishing. If you wanted to self-publish, the thing to do is to find people who have successfully self-published and teach other people how to do it and follow one of them. There are people out there who can do that. But what we can definitely help you with is the question of finishing the book. So let me ask you, how far through the book are you?
Probably about 3/4 of the way.
Okay, so how long have you been blocked?
Probably the last couple of years.
Ah, okay, good. So understand that our process, the life writing process, does not work primarily with books. It works primarily with short stories or articles. However, the first step is the same. It is write at least one sentence every day. Just one sentence. You can do that, right? You can take all of your energy, and if you just write at least one sentence, sit down at your computer, pull up the document, one damn sentence on the book. Just focus, focus, focus 24 hours a day on being able to sit down and do one sentence. If you can do that, you will overcome the resistance, and you'll end up doing more than one sentence.
And start, I would say, oop,
Ah, let's get to non-Reven here. Fantastic.
why is this not
I-
working? Start by editing a sentence. Sometimes when I'm planning this big campaign event right now, and at the end of the day, Steve was like, "Did you do any writing?" I'm like, not really. But if I could just sit with my laptop in my lap and tinker with the most recent sentence I wrote earlier, or sometimes just, continue that thought into the next sentence, it'll at least I'll have that. And sometimes, like Steve said, you can't help but write more than one.
Absolutely. And one of the things you can do, there are lots of tricks you can use. And one trick is that you stop the day's work, you write a sentence and then half of the next sentence, if that's all you can
Oh,
do.
that's interesting.
And then the next day, you finish that sentence and add a sentence and then write one more half sentence. Okay. The thing is to ask yourself what's stopping you. Okay. And if you reduce the amount of work you have to do to get a victory, see, because if you write one sentence, you can celebrate. Actually, you did the job. You did what you're supposed to. You see that smile, that laugh? That's what you want. That sense of being connected to the kid part of you that wanted to tell a story. Is that let's put on a show. That creativity thing. One of the things that is true is that the part of us that writes, you have to separate the writer and the author, or the writer and the editor. Okay. The part
Mm.
of you that writes is not the part of you that edits. And the part of you that edits is always more sophisticated than the part of you that flows and writes, because you have read probably 10 to 100 times as much as you have ever written. So that part of you is always smarter. And what will come up for you If you're not careful, you end up not writing for a couple of years, and then you think, well, why didn't you do it? And you think about all the ways you got busy. You were busy. You're legitimately busy. I mean, you had a ton of really important, necessary things to do. I mean, it's like you weren't kidding. You really were busy. But if you can reduce that down to just having to do a single sentence, and a single sentence is your victory for the day, you literally can celebrate, no guilt, because I did a sentence. And I mean that. This is not a game, okay? What will happen is you won't do that either. You'll do it for a few days, but then it'll stop. And at that point, you can no longer pretend that it was anything external. It was something in your own emotions that stopped you. And the instant you get there, as soon you have the truth. And the truth will set you free, my sister. When you say, okay, I'm afraid. I've got these voices in my head that say this isn't going to work. And I'm afraid of finishing it because if I finish it, then it's going to go out into the world and people are going to reject me. And I've been rejected before, and that hurts. Or I'm going to find out I don't have the skill, I don't have the talent, or this doesn't look good, or what, boop, 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 boop. All those voices in your head, that's the stuff that we're dealing with as human beings. And one of the most important things to understand, and I want you to listen to me, Amelia, you are not the voices in your head. Once you get that you're not the voices in your head, you get to ask, well, whose voice is that? And you say, oh my God, that's my third grade English teacher. That's my mom. That's my husband. That's the people who laughed at me. You know, for me, that's the people who told me that black people don't write science fiction or don't write at all.
Mm.
You know, it's a world that said people don't want to hear who you are. It's a part of me that says, you know, I'm too old. Yeah, it used to be, the voice used to say I'm too young. Now it says I'm too old. You know, it's whatever. There's always a voice. And if you can separate yourself from the voices and ask yourself, well, who is it that's saying this? And then to realize, what if they're lying? What if those voices aren't telling me the truth? What if those voices not only aren't me, but they're trying to stop me from growing? And if you're writing a book that is of an important topic, of a topic where you're trying to get something out in the world that would help people change, where you actually dealt with some pain, some stress, something you cared about in your life, and you're trying to put that out there to help other people, there are forces in the world that might not be happy with you. And you might hear some of their voices, and you might be afraid of standing up. So let me ask you the question. What do the voices in your head say?
Uh, Yikes. It's normally that people will know the truth about me.
Okay, and what is the truth about you?
That's a good question.
Yes, it
Um,
is. It's a critical question. Because if the answer is anything less than I am love, I am made of the same stuff as the stars. I am as worthy as any human being who has ever walked this planet. And I am a badass bitch. If it is anything that steps away from that sense of power and authority and love, that's the damage that happened. That's the people that tried to step on your dreams. Remember, never sacrifice your dreams. Your sense that your heart is as valuable as any other heart that has ever beat under this sun. It is your job to work your way back to that. And writing can be a wonderful way of looking at the demons that drive us and the things that we have overcome, the people who have tried to stop us. Your path is one of escaping suffering, embracing joy, and being of service. To look at that as a divine, a spiritual quest that has its roots in the mundane world, to look at this is how the pain I've experienced is manifested in my body, in my relationships, and in my finances. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to acknowledge all of those rocks, all those boulders, and I'm going to be the water that flows around them, that you cannot stop me, that I will fall from the sky like rain, and I will flow around every obstacle, and I will make my way to the ocean, and I will rejoin the ocean and be part of all the world. I'll be part of that divine energy that has made us all. The sense of the mundane things we do in life as being part of a spiritual quest, as part of a heroic quest, as part of refusing to let the people who told you you were less than, who tried to make you into
Mm.
a tool rather than acknowledge you as a divine being. The Sufis say that the beginning of evil is to treat people as means rather than ends. You were treated like a means. We've all had that. I raised my hand. I absolutely put a 1 in chat. If people have ever tried to use you as a means rather than as an end, did not respect your being, tried to use you as a vehicle to get
Yeah.
what they wanted rather than respecting your divine essence, put a 1 in there. Let us see that. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
this is what happens. And anything you write that is addressing the truth of who you are, the truth of what human beings are, the truth of what the world is an act of courage, and you are a warrior on the path. So, my sister, if you will make a commitment to writing just 1 sentence a day, come back next week and tell us about the minimum of 7 sentences that you wrote, or what came up for you that stopped you from doing it. Either one is just information. Most people look up once a year on New Year's Day and say, I need to have, I don't know, I don't like where I am. Let me have some, make some promises to myself. I suggest you make a promise to yourself every day and you check it and you see, are you on the path or not? Otherwise, it's like you're driving down the freeway with your eyes closed 90% of the time. And you open up your eyes for 10 seconds, see where you are. You're not going to get where you're going like that. You're going to kill people and you're going to kill your dreams. The other thing that I would ask is that the core of this path is the breathing. That I would like you to make a promise that you will do 60 seconds of deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing. And look it up on YouTube if you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Once an hour, at least 5 times a day. That takes you literally 5 minutes a day. If you will do that, commit to the breathing and commit to writing 1 sentence a day, just 1 sentence a day, we can get you there. That's where this path starts with taking, you're going to have to go through stress in order to do this because you're changing your definition of yourself and you're going against some of the people who spoke to you, some of whom probably had power over you in the past. So the little girl inside you feels if I disobey them, if I go against them, I'm in danger. So you have to wake up the part of you that's a mommy tiger, an absolute tiger, willing to fight to the death for your dreams. When you find that part of you that can say, frankly, I am that bitch. I am the wind. I am the fire. I am what the world needs to be afraid of because I will speak the truth. If your commitment is to speaking the truth, you have your feet on solid ground, no matter what it costs, no matter who stands against you. If your feet are on truth, you are strong and you will find allies. And what this group is about is people who are willing to live their truth. And because Tananarive and I are writers, we're really good at helping writers. But the truth is that what has stopped you here will end up being the same things that have stopped you in other arenas of your life. And that by solving this problem here, you'll automatically start seeing positive growth in other arenas. So keep it real. Breathe 5 times a day. Set your alarm on your watch for 9 o'clock, 12, 3, 6, 9. When that goes off, you just stop and do 60 seconds of deep, slow, diaphragmatic belly breathing and give me one sentence a day. Can you make a commitment to those things? Because ultimately, what this is all about is, can you trust yourself? Do you keep your word to yourself? Most of us will keep our word more to other people than we will to ourselves. And that is a
Mm,
sign of somebody got between us and loving ourselves. Okay?
yeah.
So ultimately, this is about loving yourself enough to promise yourself the very best from life. You tell me right now, why do you not deserve the very best? You tell me why you don't deserve the best life possible. The clock is ticking. I'm listening. Tell me.
Um, Yikes. Because I've accepted just what's there. Flown beneath the radar for many, many
So,
years.
so because of things you did in the past, you don't deserve happiness today? Is that what you're saying?
That's rather silly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, look, we do a lot of things here. Um, I would suggest that you get your hands on a copy of the Magic Formula book. It's available at www.realheroesjourney.com. And to people on this call, if you go there and you want it, but you can't afford it, we will provide you one for free. If it's not very expensive. And if you pay for it, then it makes it easier for us to support the mission. But if you can't, we'll get you a copy. So I've just given you three little bits of homework. A sentence a day, breathe 5 times a day, read the magic formula. And I'll put it in there. Somebody put in there the URL www.realheroesjourney.com. Does that help, Amelia?
That definitely helps, Stephen. I really appreciate it. I needed a wake up call, slap in the face
That's
a
what
little
we're here
bit.
for. We all go to sleep. Remember that thing about you're going to be the average of the 5 people you hang out with?
Hmm.
You Part of what I'm doing here is I'm creating a community of people who can remind me who I am, who demand from me, who lift me up. The only way I can do is by lifting you up and reminding you who you are. So we become a place where for just 90 minutes a week, we get together and we speak the truth and we remind each other that we are magnificent. Okay? And
Okay.
you, Amelia, have courage. You are magnificent, sweetheart. And I
Thank you
thank
so
you for
much.
your honesty. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You betcha. Love you, honey. Have a wonderful,
Thanks.
wonderful week. All
Oh, you
right.
too.
You
Thank you.
bet. Angelique Davis, is your hand still up for a reason? Angelique? I think it's not. Okay. I'm going to remove the spotlight and we will see who else has a comment, question, or request that relates to anything that we're doing. Madeline Diamond, are you there, sweetheart? Not everybody's camera ready. Okay. Bill Cademy, are you there? Ooh, people are shy today. Oh,
Hello,
there he
I'm
is.
here.
There he is. Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, it's hot in Kansas.
Is that where you are?
I'm just east of Salina, Kansas right now. As you can see, I'm in my RV.
Uh-huh.
I'm living out my
Grateful
dream.
Dead. You living your dream?
I'm living my dream.
I love it. That's great. What was your
Ever
dream?
since I was a kid, well, I always dreamed of having my own personal starship to explore the galaxy. And I also dreamt of having an RV to explore the country. I'm overlaying my Star Trek fantasy onto reality.
There you go. That's bringing into reality in adult terms your childhood dreams.
Exactly. And
Good for you.
I'm also going around meeting new people or meeting people I've known online. Last night I stayed at Nikki's place and met her husband and family.
That's
and I'm just expanding
fantastic.
my horizon.
I
Forget
well,
about 1%. I'm at least 50%.
I could not be happier. Is there anything that you wanted to bring into this space that we could workshop? Any comments, questions, or requests? Otherwise, it's just great to see your smiling face.
Um, well, I was visiting my sister several days ago. She's in Minneapolis, and she herself commented, the change in me is obvious. She said, I'm much more comfortable with myself. I'm more sure of myself. And to be honest with you, I was telling her dealing with the whole Firedance program has turned me around and made such an improvement in my life. At
I'm
the
honored.
moment, I don't feel there's anything I need to bring up and discuss with the group. That may
Fair
happen
enough.
in the future.
Then all I ask is take that joy you've got and support people in chat. Share it with people in chat. See if there's any good you can do for people there. If once you find it, share it. That's the best way to keep it. Masters are always learning, always doing, and always teaching. So the road to
Actually,
mastery.
one other dream I've always had is to become the photographer I've always wanted to be, ever since I was 5 years old and started doing photography. And that's what I'm doing now. Now that I'm retired, I'm able to afford all this. I'm able to actually be the photographer I was meant to be.
See, that's fantastic. And I think that the average situation that is good is you find a field to plow that will produce enough fruit that you can support yourself and your family. You've done that until you were free. So now you're free to do more of the things that you love. I think that we should keep the thread of what we love. So you take a photo from time to time, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're thinking, I'm working to keep a roof over my head, food on my table. In the history of life on this planet, that is success. I mean, there are higher levels of success, but you're doing the job. And so that's
And
wonderful. You're obviously not suffering. You're radiating joy.
I'm feeling it. And to
Fantastic.
be honest with you, well, I'm at a point where I no longer have to work to do all that. I managed to put together a good retirement package, and I have more money coming in than I need. All my bills are covered, my life expenses are covered. Plus,
Well,
I can afford
fantastic.
to do what I'm
The one
doing.
thing I would say to you then, if you have that abundance, at Christmas every year, we like to do a giveaway program that we encourage people to contribute to, and every dollar of it goes back out to people who are not as fortunate. You might want to think about that, but whatever you decide, I am so happy for you. And thank you for
Um,
sharing that energy with us.
about that Christmas fund, I
Yeah,
don't have to think about it. I've already been contributing.
fantastic. Wonderful. That's
I'm
great.
I'm incredibly lucky to be where I'm at. Seriously. I cannot ever forget just how lucky I am to be here. I want to share that luck.
Sharing with people who oppression, prejudice, poverty, neglect, just bumping into life along the way starts, it makes people doubt the magic they used to believe in as children.
It's true.
When we remind them that magic still exists, that luck is preparation meets opportunity. So you prepare yourself in specific ways that increase the amount of opportunity, and you get lucky. Okay, and you start seeing these things happening. When you keep compassion for people who don't experience life in that way, you remember that life knocks the hell out of people. It knocks the holy hell out of people, such that you can say there is joy without shaming people if they're not experiencing joy, because people are just doing the best they can. When you can hold both understandings, you're at a good place. So that's fantastic.
Being an introvert makes it a little difficult, but I push myself. And
Well, you're extrovert enough to come on here and talk to us. That's
Well, you
good.
called on me.
That's right, I
You
did.
called, I answered.
Yes, you did. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you.
And Orion. Oh, so you're unmute yourself, darling. You're muted. You're still muted. Can you click the unmute button, honey? No?
Got it.
Oh, there you are.
Got it.
So, what's up, sweetheart?
Um, I I got my knee fixed and I don't have to fix the other one. So now I can walk. And I'm making progress every day. But I've become timid. I don't know how to expand my world because it's been contracting for so long.
So, if you were not so timid, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'd I'd be going to I'd be going to music things and meeting new people and taking classes and
Okay, so if you have a goal of going to one music event a month, let's say, and taking two classes a year or something like that, one class per semester, if you set that goal, then it would just be a matter of finding the resources to help you do it. When you can do the things, when you say, I've got this fear, I've got this anxiety, what would you be doing if you didn't have it? Oh, I'd be climbing this mountain. I'd be going out to the movies I'd be doing this. See, those are photographable acts. Your brain really responds well to that. So if you say, let's say the first thing is you want to go out and listen to live music. Okay? So you find a musical act that would give you pleasure to see, and you set that as a goal. Then you use the tools that we've been talking about here, or other tools that you find elsewhere. When anxiety comes up, if you become a little agoraphobic, you don't like going out too much, breathe. Focus on the joy of the thing. Move your body. Your morning ritual needs to include the courage and clarity to enjoy your life. So who are the people, the role models, who you'd like to have sitting on your shoulder advising you about life? Bring those into your, into your morning ritual. A person who exemplifies that kind of courage or openness that you can believe, I could be like that person. I'd like to be like that person. This person has those qualities. Bring them into your imagination. Begin to consult with them. There are women in history, Eleanor Roosevelt. I don't know who it is that you really respect, but name me a woman that you really respect, who you feel has the answer to what it is that you're going through.
that's hard.
Who?
It's hard. I don't generally look to other women.
I know. So I think that you should start.
Okay.
There are fantastic, and so you might want to ask yourself, is there a reason that you don't find women inspiring? Did anyone get between you and your absolute devotion to the divine feminine? There are,
Possibly.
yeah, it can really happen. So part of what you want is to find what would have to be unblocked within you to bring that lioness out. Okay? What woman exemplifies that energy? Look deeply enough until you find one. Then research her. I promise that she'd been through hell and somehow she came out with strength. Now, if you can't find one, then find a man. But find a man who is in touch with his feminine self. Don't try to become something that you're not. What you have is the strength of a goddess. You don't, the strength of a god is no higher. It's no better. It's different. And the perfect human being has a blend of those masculine and feminine energies. Okay? Each of them can actually handle both sides of the equation if they're healthy and balanced. But Tananarive and I are better together than we are separately. She
Definitely.
can hold the feminine in ways I cannot. I can hold the masculine in ways she cannot. But there are times when she puts the spine in me, when she reminds me who I am. And there are times that I remind her to nurture herself and that she is adorable. I can step into my feminine and nurture her. She can step into her masculine. As a matter of fact, I would not have been capable of marrying a woman who was too much of a girly girl. I just couldn't have done it because a woman who is too committed to being a girly girl is going to want me to be a manly man. And all I can do is be Steve. All I've got is this. This is who I am. And if people think, well, that's masculine, that's nice. That's not, and I used to care about that. I don't care about that anymore. Been there, got the t-shirt. Now it's just, who am I? One of the things that you are is someone who deserves to feel the sun on her face in the little time that we have to dance on this planet. Embracing that and understanding that the clock is ticking might be useful in terms of helping you develop the clarity and the courage to step out and enjoy that music, to dance as if no one is watching, to wake up every day and think about something you're going to do today that's going to bring you joy, that's going to put a smile on your face. So during your 5 minute miracle, okay, are you doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then what I want you to do, I want you to add one little thing to it. I want you to smile when you do it. When you're breathing, I want you to smile. That will automatically send endorphins. Okay, that sense of breathing and smiling is helping to convince yourself that you have the right to a joyous life. And if you care about service, by learning to escape suffering and embrace joy, you have a gift to give the world. There's so many people who don't believe that they deserve to be happy, who don't believe that it is possible to live life with integrity and joy, who always live thinking that they're less than they could have been. You know, those of you who are listening, if you have ever realized that you've been flying under the radar and living small and being less than you could be, type in a 1 because you need to see that this is part of the human experience, Orion. That we can help each other because this is part of what. So type in a 1 if you've ever experienced that. Okay?
For sure.
Breathe, smile, find a goal, something you're going to do, let's say a month from now. And then every day when you think about that, see what comes up. The nervousness that comes up, expect that. I'm feeling nervousness, I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling doubt. You know, I'm hearing these voices. They say you shouldn't, or you couldn't, or you mustn't, or whatever that is. You have the right to be happy. It's as simple as that. And even though nobody has typed in a 1 that I can see there, everyone has actually had that experience of realizing that they were playing smaller than they are. And sometimes that's a painful thing to look at. We've had people just on this call, you know, today talking about how they felt that. Now look at the fact that they're not actually saying it, and you'll understand how deep it is and how much shame it can trigger, as well as just a lack of clarity. In this space, for 90 minutes a week, we can try to touch the truth about this. I say that the meaning of life is to escape suffering, embrace joy, and be of service. You healed your knee, so you escaped that suffering. Your next step is to embrace joy and to remove anything that stands in your way. Does that make sense, Orion?
It does.
Great. Is there anything else we can do for you today?
Thank you. That's quite enough to work with.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. Who's Buzz? I saw Buzz there. That's an interesting name.
Hi, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing, Buzz?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You're very welcome. So what's going on in your world today? And this is your first time here, isn't it?
I think it may be the second. I think maybe a year ago I came in. I'm able to do it because my wife has just finished her 500-mile Camino de Santiago pilgrimage in Spain. She's on her way home now, but because she's out of the house, she isn't asking me to do things, and I have the time to participate.
Well,
So
I'm so grateful to have you here. And is there anything we can do for you, or anything you wanted to say? Comments, questions, requests,
Bob, and listen,
anything?
this is a very fascinating thing. I mean, I'm the little, I'm going to call it psychological, the hand rub thing that really seemed to work for me. That
Yeah.
I recognize it might be entirely psychological, but it nonetheless
Well,
works.
yes. If you get that, you don't have to believe that there is an energy field, ki, chi, prana. You don't have to believe any of that. Even if it's only sensitivity to the warmth,
Hmm.
then it's just like the more I relax,
Hmm.
the more the capillaries flow blood and I gain sensitivity and I feel it. But even if I'm just imagining it, I'm imagining imagination of warmth in your hands actually accelerates flow through your
Hmm.
capillaries. Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. The logical part of your brain does not need to believe in any woo-woo bullshit. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Is there woo-woo bullshit? Well, I've experienced some things that make me think that we don't understand everything about what reality is, but I'm not dogmatic about that.
Hmm.
The I intend to, there are 20 basic Qigong exercises, maybe 10 that I practice regularly, 10 or 11, maybe 12. Um, and I intend to do more of that because getting sensitive to our warmth and becoming sensitive to the quiet voices inside us are not different things. Just like a world-class athlete has great sensitivity to tiny shifts in balance,
Exactly.
great sensitivity. Becoming quiet enough to feel those tiny little variations
Hmm.
makes all the difference in the world. It's like, as a writer,
Hmm.
becoming sensitive enough to the flow of your writing to sense when a sentence isn't right.
Hmm.
I cannot diagram a sentence to save my life, but I can feel when a sentence is wrong. Okay. To understand is the booby prize. To live in the space of the flow of our increasing excellence,
Hmm.
success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Hmm.
So let me ask you a question, Buzz. If you were to take a look at your life, what would be a couple of goals that you have that you could measure that it would be kind of fun to tinker with and see if, can you reach them faster?
Well, you bring up an interesting point. Earlier, you were discussing, looking for an agent and finding an agent who represents the type of book you're writing. I haven't been able to find anybody out there writing exactly what I'm doing. I've got 6 books completed, either first draft, second draft, or third draft. I've got one up on Kindle. The one unifying factor, they're all humorous, they're all funny, I hope. Um, and they all, for lack of a better, this is going to sound egotistical, stone me for it. It's like a combination of Michener and Mark Twain. They are set
Okay.
in specific historical eras, fairly recent, 20th century historical eras. Uh, Big sprawling casts, people working at odds to one another, but from a humorous point of view. It's not, heavy,
So
it's
how
not
how many
serious.
books have you published, Buzz?
Published. I have the one book up on Kindle. I had, when the Kindle Worlds thing was going on, I had a book published there, one of the GI
Okay.
Joe
Okay.
things.
So then what about stories?
Hmm?
How many stories have you published?
Oh, geez. ballpark at least 30.
That's
Not
great.
counting,
That's
not counting TV work,
that's great. Then you're definitely, so you say you do not have a literary agent.
No, I tried with the first book, finding a literary agent. I tried 35 agents, sent out the standard form query and everything else. I got back about 10 to a dozen responses. Half were polite, sorry, not looking at this time, which I accept. That's, the way of the world. The other half would, ask to take a look, and sometimes they would pass on it. The rest of them just blew me off. Not even the
Gotcha.
courtesy of a sorry, not open at this time.
Gotcha.
So
All right. So what you need to do is well, the most important thing you want is to publish those books. The
yes,
agents are just a means to that end.
yes,
So there are two different pieces of this,
mhm,
but the meta piece is that you need to have this conversation with as many different writers as possible. So
yeah,
how did you find your agent? So there's looking for a missing piece, strategy. You're stalking. But the fact is that you don't need an agent to sell a book. It's useful. It's really useful to have an agent sell a book.
mhm,
It's probably more important to have a lawyer who can look at the contract if you get offered. So if you decide you're going to find an agent, and it could very well be you're in a situation where you have to not need an agent to get an agent. That if
mhm,
you can sell one of your books yourself, if
mhm,
you can get a publisher to commit to buying one of your books, now you can approach an agent and say, would you like to negotiate this for me? That's what I did in Hollywood. That I
mhm,
actually got my first job before I had an agent, then went to an agent and said, would you like to represent me on this? And they said, sure, it's free money. Okay.
mhm,
So you you're going to have to play chess with
mhm,
this. You want to sell the books, having an agent's useful because you don't want to spend your time doing this. But I might need to learn how to be my own agent so I can get to a position to get an agent. If you can survive and appreciate the irony of that and treat it like a joke, it's like, oh, this is just a game. I'm gonna play this
mhm,
game. Then you can do that. So if your goal is, okay, I'm going to take what I think is the most marketable of these books. Who publishes books like this? Okay.
mhm,
And you're going to start approaching those companies. And if you can get somebody to say yes, now you've got a ticket in the game. Okay.
mhm,
But this is just what I think about it. Reach out to every writer friend you know and ask them this question. How do I get an agent? I'm in this situation. How do I get an agent? If you get enough comments from people, somebody will say something that you say, oh, that's useful. I
mhm,
could do that. Okay.
mhm,
So look at it as a problem you want to solve rather than an unsolvable problem.
mhm,
And understand that there is a finite amount of cleverness that it's going to take.
mhm,
That in essence, if your next story
mhm,
was about a writer who could not get an agent,
mhm,
and at the end of that story, that writer got an agent, what would you have that writer do right now?
mhm.
Let's take that as a real question. What would you have them do?
Hmm. I'm turning over plot points in my head as you ask.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
writing is problem solving.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Look at yourself as a character in a story, and suddenly all of that writerly problem solving is at
Mhm.
your service.
Okay.
Okay? So, make it back here when you can. I'd like to hear what's going on, when you
Sure.
can. But it's
Sure.
great to see you.
Good seeing you
And
again. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And this is absolutely doable. You can absolutely do this. Whether you will or not is a separate question, but you
Yeah.
can. Okay?
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Thanks for
All right.
showing up.
Thank you. Thank you for
My
inviting
my pleasure.
me.
All right.
Mhm.
So, let's see if there isn't anybody else. There's somebody called Zoom user. That's interesting. I don't know who that is. Uh, but we're closing in on the end of this time. So just go back to that sense of four things to never sacrifice for anyone or anything: your dreams, your integrity, your health, and your time. Does anyone have any questions about that or any lack of clarity on those four things? This is the time. No? Okay, great. Then I would like for people to take themselves off uh, off mute. And remember that we will be on Saturday. I'll be in New York at New York Comic Con next Friday. So I won't be able to be here, but I will be able to do it on Saturday. So be sure that you're on the mailing list so that I can, verify and reach out to you again. But if you just say goodbye right now, uh,
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
wonderful week,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye,
Namaste.
everyone.
okay,
Bye.
Great week.
now a
Take
question
care.
real
Enjoy.
quick. Stephen Bauer, did you have a question real quick?
Yes, Steve, I did. You mentioned getting on the mailing list, and we've talked a lot there. Do you have a half-page PDF or Word document that you could like randomly drag up here, or that we could drag up there for you? That would be, hey, here's the page to get here. Here's the address for the mailing list. Here's the address
No, but I can
to
write
pick
in
up the
the
book. But I think that single point of contact would be really helpful for us to share the wonder that is Barnes Dew, and it is Barnes Dew.
www.stephenbarneslist.com or www.tananarivelist.com. You'll get right on our mailing list.
Okay.
Okay? Take care, everybody. I'm going to bail and start my weekend. My weekend starts as soon as I get 5 pages of script done. Take care, everybody. Love you guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Everybody has a
Bye,
good week.
everybody.